Viri doctissimi, feminae doctissimi, as we normally say on these occasions. Ladies and gentlemen, it was 40 years ago that I was a pupil of the same North London primary school as Ed Miliband. In fact, he conceals from the electorate. And I was taken to the last Pompeii exhibition that was welcomed by the city. And I remember my astonishment as I looked through the glass case at the exact contents of a Roman person, so familiar in gesture, so human in despair, so ancient and yet so modern. And that is the miracle of Pompeii and of course of this exhibition, because time and again we look at this stuff, and Neil was just pointing this out, and say, my God, that is us. They had fast food joints and bars and graffiti, and the women wore bikinis, and their husbands, the bankers, they had signet rings and stuff, exactly like bankers today, absolutely. And they had cradles for their babies straight out of mother care. They had bread ovens exactly like those in modern Italy, Georgia, didn't they? And they had one-way traffic systems and strict rules about nighttime delivery. And people on low incomes lived in unsanitary high-rise flats built by Leopold. And rich people had drove their neighbours wild with subterranean swimming pools. And there was in Pompeii an extraordinary cosmopolitan, multicultural hubbub of nations and voices. Italians and Greeks and Syrians, Gauls and Jews, and in a statuette of Lakshmi, is anything to go by, they had traders from India there too. And in perhaps the eeriest echo of all, it seems there was one woman who was highly influential in the diet of the community, who rejoiced in the title, the office of Porcaria Publica, and who seems to have been responsible for gigantic pork barbecues. What was her name, ladies and gentlemen? What was her name? Only two people in history have ever borne this name. What was the name of the woman who was the Porcaria Publica? Nigella. She was called Nigella. And I read it in Mary Beard's book, and I think in her honour we should revive the office of Porcaria Publica. And yet, Pompeii was, of course, so very different and so strange. They had no toothbrushes, they had no pot roll, they barely lived to 50, even by the depraved standards of the 21st century Britain. They were crazed by sex, and it was perfectly okay to invite people to a dinner party in which the dining room would be adorned with a sculpture of the love that flowers between the man and the nanny goat, which I know is one of the today. And in a town no bigger than Henley-on-Thames, there were 30 brothels, which is not, as far as I know, the case in Henley. And in a way that seems completely bonkers to us, they killed animals in the hope of getting the gods on their side. They used their slaves as concubines. And their idea of good, clean family fun was to cut the feet off a thief, put honey on the stumps, and get a bear to do the rest. And yet, this sick Roman society had virtues we have lost. Not just sublime literature, fantastic houses, impossibly beautiful houses and gardens, but a real sense of community. And when you consider in a town, Pompeii had about 12,400 people. They had theatres with a combined capacity of 7,000, 2 theatres, and an amphitheatre that could hold 20,000. You can see how Roman society was able to achieve that amazing sense of participation and excitement and belonging and identity that cost us £9.3 billion at a stage last year. And you can see how they kept that going, that spirit, for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I hope that this fantastic exhibition will inspire 8-year-olds today, as I was inspired 40 years ago, to study Roman civilization and to learn its language, and to remind us that history is not a one-way ratchet. that things can get worse, and that we all, one way or the other, live under the shadow of the volcano. And Woody, as we now feel the seismic tremors from Cyprus, we all know in our bones that the euro one day is going to blow. And so I ask you, in a spirit of celebration of life's beauty and brevity and fragility, to join me in quoting the great London-educated classicist Franciscus or Frankie Howard, and said, up Pompeii, rather, up life and death in Pompeii and Herculaneum, and I have great pleasure in declaring this wonderful exhibition open. Thank you very much.